Hey everybody, Dr. McCollum here, and I've been having so many patients ask me about the True Cellular Detox program that we were doing last year that I've decided to put one together this year as a group. There's several reasons why. Number one is it's less expensive for you, but there's a lot more support people get by working as a group. You actually get access to an incredible portal now that's going to give you so much information that you will be wanting throughout this program. So what I want to do is explain what we're doing. So the first thing I want to do is say, if you want to fix your health, you got to fix it at a cellular level. We call it fix the cell to get well. So there's three major toxins in our life. We call them the deadly trio: heavy metals, molds, and hidden infections. Heavy metals such as mercury and lead come 4 generations down through mom's umbilical blood. In fact, the number one source of lead toxicity that we have right now is our mother's umbilical blood. And what's really interesting is the number one mental symptom that goes along with lead toxicity is depression. Now, mercury is probably the most toxic element on the planet, and so crazy that we would put it in our mouth with mercury and silver fillings so close to the brain. But that mercury gets into our system through fish, through our amalgams, our fillings, through various other things that are in the environment. And the number one mental symptom associated with mercury poisoning is anxiety. So you've got depression and anxiety, which are incredibly high right now in general in our country, and especially with our children. And then over the past 2 years, we've had tremendous amount of stress put on our bodies. And those stresses down-regulate, or they turn down our immune system. They turn down our cognitive function, and they increase inflammatory responses. So what this means is we're more vulnerable to get sick. And one thing that we've been struggling with as a world is building our immune system to fight some invisible thing that we can't see, feel, taste, touch, or even hear. We don't even know if it's there. So when you have a tiger that you can't see, feel, touch, taste, or hear, and you're running from it all the time, your body is constantly in fight or flight mechanism. That fight or flight mechanism is something like cortisol and adrenaline is poured into your bloodstream and into your body, further reducing your immune response and further reducing your cognitive function and weakening your digestive ability, because you don't need to digest your food when you're being chased by a tiger. The tiger will digest it for you. You don't have to worry about the splinter in your finger and the infection. The tiger will eat that. So what the True Cellular program is all about is fixing the body at a cellular level. We have 75 trillion cells. Inside the cell is something called the mitochondria. The mitochondria is the power plant of our cell. This is what gives us energy. It's what burns all the fuel. Without a cell of the mitochondria, we wouldn't be alive, all right? So the mitochondria needs fuel, and there's 2 types of fuel. I'm going to talk about the simplest one right now called glucose, or sugar. Sugar has to get into the cell through this mitochondria cell wall, and inside there, like a carburetor of a car, it makes energy, and just like a car, it has exhaust. And that exhaust is very toxic, just like what comes out of your car. That exhaust has to get out of the cell. It has to get into your bloodstream through the liver and out of your body through the colon. That is the way our body works. It's like you have an exhaust pipe in your car. Well, because of all of the toxins in our environment, there's 78 trillion toxins that have been produced in the last 100 plus years. 78,000 toxins in the last 100 years. Those toxins get into our body and they plug up our filter systems. Like our liver is like consider a vacuum cleaner that has a filter in it. If you never changed the vacuum filter and you kept vacuuming, pretty soon it would get clogged. The vacuum would heat up and basically explode eventually, or burn up. That's what happens to our bodies. Our filters are plugged. from the chemicals, from the heavy metals, from the toxins, from the stress, from the drugs, from the alcohol, from the glyphosate, from the artificial foods, all the GMOs, and the glutens they're not even natural anymore because they've been altered so much, that these filters get clogged. What that means is our body cannot clean itself out. The cell walls get inflamed so that insulin can no longer open the door to push glucose in to get to the mitochondria. 60% of the people in the United States are pre-diabetic. 60% are pre-diabetic or diabetic. So when this occurs, your body tries to produce more and more and more insulin so that it can push that sugar into the cell. Eventually, there's a limit to what your body can produce, so you are now diabetic, and the medical doctor puts in man-made insulin to push that into the cell. And they think this is a solution. Really, all it's doing is making you more unhealthy. Diabetes is the #1 cause of preventable blindness, limb amputation, leads to colon cancer, kidney failure, #1 cause of kidney failure, diabetes. And we have 60% of our country diabetic or pre-diabetic. Nobody's doing anything about it. At the cellular level, if we can clean up the cell wall, get the toxins out of it, then you don't need all these extra insulins to get the sugar in the cell. Insulin is a hormone. If insulin can't get in, do you think estrogen, progesterone, or testosterone can get into the cell? No, they can't get in because the cell wall is so crusty. So in the True Cellular Detox program, there's 3 steps. The first one is called the prep phase, where we're going to prepare your body to detox. One of the biggest problems that people have is they go to the health food store and they get a 7-day detox off the shelf. Take that, and all it does is stir up the mud at the bottom of the pond. Their body can't eliminate it any better now than when they stored it all, because their digestive system, their gut, and their filters are clogged. So if you don't unclog those first, you're just going to make yourself sick. So the prep phase in this program takes about a month. And once we finish the prep phase, we're going to do the body phase. This is pretty cool. We have supplements that we have you take that are going to help get the heavy metals, molds, and chemicals out of the tissue and your organs and get them clear out at a cellular level. The cool part about that is the next phase that comes along is called the brain phase. It's where the magic begins. So the brain phase, your brain is basically, brain. I always spell it wrong. The brain phase, maybe I need to do another brain phase. The brain phase is, your brain is basically composed of fat, right? If you ever been called a fathead, then whoever called you that's right. Because the brain, because it is made of fat, it collects toxins just like the fat cells, because when there's toxins in your body puts it in the fat cells because then it doesn't dissolve in water and it's protected. So once we get the body cleaned out through this program, now we can dump the brain into the body, the brain toxins into the body, and since there is a concentration gradient, it has somewhere to go. If we try to detox the brain without detoxing the body, it would just swirl around and around and around and make you sicker and sicker and sicker. So as we're detoxing the body, we're fixing the gut, we're opening up the downstream pathways, and finally we're going to go for the brain. Now, diabetes type 2 is really prevalent because of the gut barrier getting opened up with all these toxins. It's called the leaky gut syndrome. The blood-brain barrier gets opened up as well, and bad toxins get into the brain. A lot of this diabetes type 2, which is high insulin in your blood, that insulin crosses the blood-brain barrier. Another name for Alzheimer's disease is diabetes type 3. Because of the insulin being produced by Alzheimer's, by diabetes, the insulin gets in the brain and it makes you sick. So we have a solution. This is an amazing program put together by Dr. Dan Pompa. There's several doctors around the country doing this right now. You have a portal that you'll have access to. You'll be given 6 months access to the McCollum Wellness Academy, as well as to our 7-week intermittent fasting and ketogenic diet program. So it's a great deal. If you have any more interest, just let us know. We'll put down in the column below, we will go through the specifics of costs and the time frame. We're starting on the 22nd of February. So if you're interested, you got to let us know right away, because we can only take so many people. Once we have X amount of people, that's it. All right? Hope all's well. You guys have a great day. May you never be the same again. Thanks.